Welcome back, Fun Fam. If you're brand new to the channel, welcome in to follow the Bradley's Fun. This is the Daily Dish with me, your host, Rod E. Bradley. And I hope that wherever you are out there in the world today, you are having a phenomenal day, morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, whenever you're watching. Speaking of the day, as of the recording and live streaming of this, today is the 18th day of March in the year 2025, and it's really cold here in Orlando, Florida this morning. I am freezing cold. How you guys where you are? Let's check the sound and see if we are coming in loud and clear. Sounds okay to me on my end. Okay, so my goodness, I'm tired. My allergies are still it's so funny, the allergy season here in Florida. The best weather that we have is this time of the year, as far as the temperature is concerned, the atmosphere is concerned. Somehow it just falls in line with allergy season at the same time. So we have this incredibly great weather to go out and do stuff. And then when you go out and do stuff, you're bothered by the seasonal allergies because it's always February and March. And usually by the second week of April, I am off all of my allergy medications. And then we're fine. And then May hits and you get the 100-degree temperatures. Well, not really hundreds, but it's in the high 90s for so much of the remainder of the year. So for May, pretty much May through November, it's in the 90s every single day. You can count on that, and it feels over 100 with the humidity. So while living in Florida has its perks, definitely has its ups, it also has its downs. But let me say hi to everybody that's coming in this morning. My goodness gracious me, we've got a crowd of y'all coming in. We appreciate that. Good to see everybody here. First through the door this morning was Fair Brick Studio. Wayne from across the pond says, hello, Rod. Hello, Fairbrooks. Good to see you in the house this morning. We appreciate your support always, every single day on the show. Morning, afternoon, first like and share. Well, we appreciate that. Speaking of which, if you are watching this for the first time, never seen it before, anything like that, please do click that like button. We appreciate that, and we want to get this out to as many people as we can. That service dog, ruff ruff. Good morning, beautiful people, and hi to that service dog. And Go and Shogi has come through the door, one of our great mods here. Go and Shogi, good to see you out there in California, waking up early this morning. Appreciate you coming in, modding for me. Andy W says, good morning. Can't believe I'm awake this early. I need coffee. I'll tell you what, man. Cheers. Cheers. Mine's not exactly coffee, but it's caffeine, although I'm thinking about switching. Hi, Go and Shogi. Hi, Andy. Hey, Fairbricks. Everybody's saying hi to each other. We appreciate that. And another one of our great mods, Tom F, is in the house, and he's over on the Space Coast. On the Space Coast, where so many people are in denial of the fact that we ever went to the moon. I don't know. It's the amount of money spent, the rockets built. I've seen them with my own eyes. And Tom F can probably verify that we have indeed, with his knowledge that I know he has personally, can probably verify that we did, in fact, land people on the moon many decades ago. And we plan on doing that again. And the moon is not, like, when you look at all of outer space, as far as celestial objects, the moon is actually pretty close in proximity to us. Even it's pretty far out, but it's also pretty close to the Earth when it comes to celestial objects. Unlike what is it, Alpha Centauri, which is like our Proxima Centauri. Which one is it that's 4 light years away? Anyway, Go and Shogi says hi. Tom F. It's not cold. It's just chilly. Yes, it is definitely chilly this morning. It's, you know what it is. It's camping and fire weather is what it feels like if you didn't have the allergies that I have. Bessie Ye says hi. Hello, Bessie. Good to see you in the house. And the Bud Files are here. Good to see the Bud Files. And everyone saying hi to everyone. I have had a lot of conversations with more of me, more Rons lately. Just saying. Are you talking about moon landing deniers, Tom? Go and Shogi says he's more of a maroon. So when you go to the Kennedy Space Center, it's very, very difficult after seeing what you see there at the Kennedy Space Center to deny the moon landings, because they take you through exactly how it happened, and you sit in the actual room where they were running the controls. And sure, there are certain what we may not have had back then on a technological level would have been the size of the computers that we have today. Like, our computers are really, really small. We've been able to shrink them down. However, the ability to compute and the numbers, that doesn't change. Numbers are numbers, right? So whatever the numbers were that we needed to get to the moon back then, they'd be the same today. They can be calculated on a much smaller device because our computers back then were huge. Yeah. I don't get these people either. The worst part of these people is they often fall to the right side of the political spectrum, and I'm like, I don't want anything to do with that. Please. I don't know why they fall to the right side of the political spectrum. It's just weird. Howdy, everyone. This is Dude Man, cuz math was done on them, not graphics. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's binary code is zeros and ones, and it's basically what we've been able to do over time is take those zeros and ones, those on-off switches, and compress them to a much smaller space so that we can put more of them in a much smaller space. I don't know. My brain works differently than other people's brains when it comes to that. I can visualize, I see it. It's just different. And honestly, when you see rocket ships going off every day, leaving the Earth's atmosphere, as we do here in Florida, we see it a lot. You're like, look, it's not that difficult. And see, here's the other thing. Once you get into outer space where you're not as affected by gravity, then you're going to be able to go much faster. There's just simple scientific things. Just simple scientific things. My gosh, I am glad you guys are here this morning. I am super, super tired, but you guys do give me energy to get here, to go into my studio. I know it's not a very long walk from a bedroom to the studio, but I still, at my age, my energy is waning. But you guys are like the energon to my transformer. That's right. You guys give me the energon to transform and roll out to bed. And
a toast, Autobots. Boy, these are good. I needed to refuel. Energy. This stuff's the greatest.
love that. That's just fun for me. I just like watching that clip. Well, we might have to change it, but I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. And speaking of that energy, another thing that gives me energy is all of your support. And, sometimes it's just the support of you guys being here. And I super appreciate it. With any financial support whatsoever, I absolutely appreciate you guys being here in the audience and seeing the familiar faces. And I feel like we're at a little kind of a meetup party, whatever, over the internet. But sometimes it'll be in real life. And some of you guys, I've met in person, which is great. And I really, really want to do a lot more of that. We should have a meetup coming up this weekend. Hopefully I will feel okay. I got to look at my plans and see when and where that's going to happen, but that should be happening. But I just want to thank every single one of you for being here. And I love to celebrate the fact that you're here. So obviously I throw down a celebration just for you guys being here. A celebration. What does a celebration look like? Well, it could look something like this. Where is it? Or not. It could look something like this.
Is it too much? Too much? It's your birthday!
Oh, this is just the best of my scene. DD93 is in the chat. Good to see you, OCDD93. So yeah, again, I will celebrate. And of course, we like to throw down a celebration anytime any support is given to the channel. And that support can be a lot of different kinds of things. For example, that support could be you buying something from our spread shop, something like our Follow the Bradleys Fun iconic family avatar t-shirt, or a hat. The Make Disney Walt Again hats are there. The fedora hats are there. I really, really need to come up with some new merchandise designs, I swear. Ooh, hey, what do you guys think of this one? It just popped in my head. Forget this broccoli. I'm going to see something epic. How about that? Does that sound good to you guys? Just like, forget this broccoli. Maybe that'll be on the front, and on the back it'll be, I'm going to see something epic. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, anytime support is given to the channel through merchandise from the spread shop like this, or for example, super chat, super thanks, super stickers. We got a goal of 5 today, I think. If we get 5 quickly, super chats, I think they have to be on the goal thing. If we get 5 of those, we'll stay after for a quick Q&A. And we also have a goal of, it could be memberships dropped. It could be somebody becomes a member of the channel, or gifted memberships dropped, or member milestone chat, super thanks, super sticker, super chat. Could be PayPal or buy me a coffee support, any of those kind of things. And of course, I am going to celebrate that with you all. So, and depending on what it is, I may change the celebration up a little bit at a time. Let's go back to this and get this off of here. Thank you so much. But I appreciate that. I want to get to stories today. But I gotta find the stories that I want to get to. We've been talking about Snow White. Don't need that. Sorry, I'm looking at some of the assets that I have here. We have been talking about Snow White Let me know in the chat. Are you guys planning? Is anybody in the chat at all planning on going to see Snow White this weekend? Let me take a look at something that I might pull up here. Let's see here. Let's look at my local theater. My local theater is a Touch Star Cinema. And I'm going to put this on the screen here. All right, so you can see it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that they are advertising the heck out of Snow White. It's really the only major thing that I know of that's going into theaters this weekend. If you haven't seen it and it's still out there and it's around you, I'd recommend going to see The Unbreakable Boy. A very good movie with Zachary Levi. But there's the advertisement for Touch Star Cinema's Snow White. And we got one close to my house, not too far away from where I live. Don't worry, I'm not going to be there. But here it is. Okay, so if I go to Showtime, so let's take a look. Let's take a look and see how they're doing. Close to my house now. I live in Orlando, Florida. This theater, by the way, this theater is freaking fantastic. If you are in the Orlando, Florida, I highly recommend Touch Star Cinemas. We've got Not Unless It's Confirmed that the Queen wins. I'm actually rooting for the Apple. I will not be watching the new Snow White. Yeah, me neither. I will be watching the old Snow White on Friday. What is up, Braylon? Good to see you in the house. Good morning, everybody. I'm trying to wake up here, by the way. But let's take a look at what they got. Let's take a look at how they're doing on the preview day is technically the opening day now because it starts at 2:00 in the afternoon on preview day, which is Thursday the 20th. So let's see how they're doing. Okay, so they've got 7 showtimes available, as you can see there. Right, you got 2, 3:45, 4. What is that? 2, 3:45, 4:45, 6:45, 7:15, 9:45, and 10:15 p.m. I can't imagine anybody would want to stay up late for it. Maybe. Let's see. Let's check out the 10:15 p.m. showing and see what it looks like there. Okay, there's the auditorium. What's this plus do? Minus. Zoom out. Okay. All right, so this section up here, these are all available. Every single one of them is available. Those are the front row seats. Front, so that's 10:15. Okay, so not a single seat has sold in the 10:15 show. Not a surprise. It's 10:15 at night on a Thursday. So you want screens all to yourself. Let's check out the first show, 2:00 in the afternoon. Spring break. By the way, it's spring break week. Kids are not in school this week. You could go take the kids to Snow White in the middle of the day. There is a casting call. Braylon, I was just looking at this comment. By the way, I do hope the Universal Orlando does a content creator casting call and flies in content creators. Ron and Lorena need to go after that opportunity. There is a casting call, but it's a different kind of casting call for families. I got to find out today if my family wants to do that because you got to make videos and send them in. But it's a different kind of a casting call. It is for a commercial, though. We are considering it, but we haven't filmed anything yet. Going Shogi says, I'm curious to see how it does against next week's A24 film. If Death of a Unicorn beats a $400 million Disney movie, Iger's going to have fun excuses. Death of a Unicorn actually sounds like a good title for a movie, I'll be honest with you. Dylan Soup says, what's up, chat? Dan's Life with the Kingdom says, good morning. Oh man. All right, so this is the 2 p.m. showing. Let's take a look at the 2 p.m. showing. First one of the day. Remember, the kids are out of school. No seats, no seats, no seats, no seats. Okay. Not a single seat sold in the 2 p.m. show. So now we have 2 out of the 7 complete availability. Let's look at 3:45. 3:45 in the afternoon, more of a regular time. Now again, 3:45 and 4:45. Now the kids are out of school, even if they were in school. And we look at the 3:45 showing. Oh, there's 3 seats. 3 seats are sold right there. You can see the gray. So we've got 3 seats sold, and it looks like one person is going to be sitting all the way in the back by themselves. We've got a total of 4 seats sold at the 3:45 show. And it's, it's so nice to have the theater by yourself. By the way, Auditorium 5, I think auditoriums 4 and 5 are the biggest in the house. Auditorium 5 is a very, very big auditorium. All of these seats that are look like this, if they're just these basic squares, those are regular seats. These seats that have a little bit more design to them on the chart, those are luxury recliner seats. So let's go back. Okay, so far out of the 3 screenings that we've looked at, we've got a total of 4 seats sold. And this is on the opening day. This is at the 4:45 show. Not a single seat sold at the 4:45 show. This is the other large. Both Auditorium 4 and 5 have the largest screens in the house. And if you look at this row right here, do you know what that is? That's actually day beds. This middle row that you're seeing on your screen right there is day beds, which is amazing. I feel like something happened in my background. There we go. So yeah, you've got this. That's literal day beds. Though to get a day bed, you have to buy 2 tickets, and you can only put 2 adults in there. If you want 2 adults and a kid, you have to buy a child ticket as well. So yeah. And then so there's not a so okay. So now we've looked at 4 screenings, and out of the 4 screenings, 3 of them are completely empty. Now let's look at the 2 primetime screenings. So you got 6:45 and 7:15. These are the prime times. All right. Auditorium 5, the biggest theater that they have, primetime screening, 6:45 p.m. All right, now you've got some seats sold. Look, the entire row of this premium seats. By the way, this isn't the best row. I figured that out the last time I was there. It's the row in front of that one that's a little bit better. But that's actually sold. They have, let me see here. Prime time day of, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 6 is 17, 24 seats. 24 big tickets sold on the biggest primetime screening. And 7:15, of course, that's the major prime time. We should have this is 7:15. Where's the seat? Oh, there we go. Oh, 3 of the day beds. 3 of the day beds. So that is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 in that one. Okay. I think we're up to, what is that? Are we up to 30 people going to see it so far? And the 9:45 is the only one we haven't looked at. Is anybody going to the 9:45 screening on day 1? No, it's completely empty. Not a surprise there. So out of the 7 screenings that are available on day 1 at my local theater, that's a dine-in theater. It has recliner seats. It has day beds. It's a luxury theater with It's a luxury theater, but it's less expensive. I think the ticket prices are like $11 for those nicest seats. And for the day beds, you can get a day bed for like $24. That's like two people, and I think it includes popcorn. At least it used to include popcorn. I don't know if it does now. Anyway, so that's the deal with those. Check out the AMC Burbank 16. That's the Hollywood and Normie Theater. It's never empty except for Snow White. Yeah, so there you go. It's guys, tickets to Snow White's not selling a whole heck of a lot right now. It just don't know why. And then there are the reviews. What's the review strategy? I'll be watching at home watching the animated version. Me as well, Dan. Me as well, because I think we need to send a message to Disney. And here's the thing about Rachel Zegler. Let me talk about Rachel Zegler for a minute. And yes, her big mouth and the way she wasn't trained very well when it came to public relations, PR, how to talk to media, any of that kind of stuff. That's fairly obvious. She made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. She was, I think, 19 or 20 when she was cast and actually filmed this thing. So she was young, incredibly influenced by the far left. That's obvious. And kind of indoctrinated. And you kind of see that in her speech. That created some issues. Made her very disliked. But I have to take that with a grain of salt of bad parenting. Very, very bad parenting. Don't know where her parents are. I'm saying that's bad parenting. I know she's technically a responsible adult, but let's be honest. I've often said that if she goes away from Hollywood for 5 years, just does Broadway stuff, does theatrical stuff, comes back, apologizes for her lack of maturity, she'd probably be fine. But that being said, like everybody wanted to hate on her, not really hate on her, but like that's not the right word. That's a bad word. People saw her as a snotty brat, right? Because that's what she came across as, was a snotty brat, an entitled snotty brat. She was a YouTuber just a couple years before standing in a picket line saying, I deserve to be paid for every hour this thing is streaming online if I'm going to sit in my iconic Disney princess dress for 18 hours a day or whatever. She's just really, there's something wrong with her parenting, honestly. That's the way it comes across to me, that Rachel Zegler had bad parents. But aside from all that, she was poorly cast. Good afternoon, Juliet. Good to see you out there. I'll be watching the poor fools react after going to see it Friday Night Tights. It's going to be next level. Yes, indeed. So the casting of Rachel Zegler, all of that aside, I have a problem with the casting because what they did, they cast her to be girl boss, and that's not the character of Snow White. And the intention of Disney, and this is not Rachel Zegler's fault. It's Disney's fault for deciding to go the direction that they decided to go. And this is why I think this movie is going to be a mess. I think this movie is going to look beautiful, except for the CGI, which will be very, very wonky. The animal CGI and the dwarf CGI looks hideous to me. Why make a live action if you can't make realistic looking animals? You can make them act cartoonish, but they need to look realistic, and then they also need to be expressive. The dwarfs should have simply been real dwarf people with dwarfism. Cast 7 of them, be as diverse as you want. You don't have to have 7 white dwarfs. You know, they could be a diverse group of dwarfs, but whatever. All of that. The problem is Disney the creatives behind this movie wanted to update Snow White for a modern audience. This modern audience doesn't exist. And what I mean by that is audiences exist. We're always modern. If we, as an audience in the year 2025, like to go back and watch the original Snow White, and it brings us entertainment value, we love to share the original Snow White with our kids, with our sons, with our daughters. Our sons, because we want them to emulate how a good prince acts. Our daughters, because we want them to emulate how a good princess acts. That has the value that it's always had, right? So I'm not saying that you needed to redo the movie shot for shot or anything like that. Yes, there are some updates that you can do, but you do not change the character of Snow White. And that's what they did here. They specifically went after changing the character of Snow White so that instead of wishing for true love, which is exactly what you want a princess to be wishing for, why is it that we seek true love? We seek true love because that we are, as human beings, it's the companionship of our families that makes us truly fulfilled in life. My beautiful wife, Virginia, for example, like it's that companionship that comes from her that is the most fulfilling thing in my life, no matter what. We don't always show it. We're not always good about that, but it is the most fulfilling thing. They even cast a door, but only use his voice. Yeah, I saw him always. But so as a child, you're wanting fulfillment, and of course, if you've lost your parents who were in love, and now you're being raised by this. Why is the evil queen evil? The evil queen is evil because she's lost love in her life, and now she's single, and the evil queen is the result of what happens to a girl boss as they age. That's exactly who the evil queen is. That is why you do not want Snow White to be the girl boss. Because as the girl boss ages and stays alone, they get lonelier and they develop into the evil queen. The evil queen is the girl boss of this movie. She is absolutely the girl boss. You cannot juxtapose a girl boss with a little girl who wants to become a girl boss, because now you have Snow White basically wanting to develop herself into being the evil queen. That's the wrong story to tell. And it's not a good story for little girls. It makes no sense. So going back to the casting of Rachel Zegler, she got cast because she has this big, belting Broadway voice and a similar, her look is a look between Snow White and Farquaad from Shrek. I don't know why they cut her hair that way. That was ridiculous, by the way. That was just really, really bad. You know, the costuming of this movie is beautiful. Some of the sets are beautiful. Some of the cinematography is beautiful. But then you have crazy, cruddy CGI. It's going to be a mixed bag, just like Falcon and Winter Soldier, some things were filmed in 2021. Other things were filmed in reshoots in 2023 and 2024. So this movie is going to be this hodgepodge, this Frankenstein movie. And Rachel Zegler was miscast because the Disney creatives were not taking the right direction with the movie, which means there was this whole other direction they were going to go with the movie, and now they're trying to tame it back. They still got the songs, like Waiting on a Wish. Waiting on a Wish is a fantastic song for Rachel Zegler to sing as a different character in a different story. It is not a Snow White song. And when you take I'm Wishing, and you compare that to Waiting on a Wish, those two different songs, they are it's like two completely different characters, and therein lay the problem. You cannot recreate Snow White by redefining Snow White. Snow White is a defined character, and especially when you're remaking this classic. Yes, Florentin is very Moana style. It's also very Belle. Like I keep saying that I think Rachel Zegler actually probably would have knocked it out of the park as Belle if she never said anything about it. And but it's how far I'll go from my by Moana. All of that modern stuff, those are different stories. Moana is not Snow White. Belle is not Snow White. Ariel is not Snow White. Snow White is Snow White. And by trying to turn Snow White into Moana, or by trying to turn Snow White into Elsa, it's a bad move, because basically you've now set Snow White to grow up to become the next evil queen. And that is what it looks like to me. And then, of course, Andy W. says this, of course, from watching the trailers, the acting in it isn't great. It's true. And then heard her Spain performance, hate that song, super pitchy. She's definitely not a soprano. Wouldn't want to hear her on Broadway either. Sorry, not saying that's perfectly fair. She belts everything, and she's young, and she still needs a lot of training, frankly. I was a musical theater major. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I was a musical theater major at the same school that trained the voice of the Little Mermaid. Benson, what's her first name? Anyway, so with that training, like I may not be great at music theater, but I have the training to know what is great. And it was just such a bad miscast. Beauty and the Beast deserved any kind of a singer. They needed a better cast than Hermione, that's for sure. Anyway, so when does the Jodie Benson? Thank you, Jodie Benson. I don't know why I forgot that. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on such a rant about this, but I do want to find out when the Snow White review embargo lifts. So out of that Park Place, when does the Snow White review embargo lift? Disney's last minute strategy raises red flags for the Rachel Zegler film, as if there haven't been enough red flags raised already. I'm not going to probably cover this whole thing, but let's see. As the countdown to Disney's live-action Snow White remake continues, a new development signals just how shaky confidence is within the House of Mouse. It has now been confirmed that the Snow White review embargo will lift on March 19th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, only 24 hours before its first public showings begin, a strategy commonly used when studios expect critical reception to be less than favorable. For context, major studios typically allow reviews to drop several days, sometimes even a week or more ahead of a release when they believe they have a hit on their hands. Early reviews generate buzz, build audience anticipation, create positive word of mouth. But when the review embargo is held until the last minute, it usually indicates that the studio expects or knows that the feedback won't be great. This movie is just the latest in a series of red flags surrounding Snow White. Disney has already scaled back the film's Hollywood premiere, skipping the usual full-scale red carpet event and limiting media access. Lead actress Rachel Zegler has been noticeably absent from the U.S. press interviews, instead of confined to tightly controlled international appearances. The film's marketing rollout has been uncharacteristically subdued, especially for a brand as massive as Disney's live action remake division. Interestingly, the early social media reactions from those who attended the scaled back Hollywood premiere have been overwhelmingly positive. Influencers, Disney-friendly outlets, and select attendees have been quick to praise the film's visuals, performances, and updated storyline. However, the fact that Disney is still enforcing such a tight Snow White review embargo raises questions. If the feedback from the premiere was genuinely reflective of a broader critical opinion, there'd be no reason to hold back full reviews until the last possible moment. Instead, the embargo remains firmly in place, suggesting that Disney knows the general critic pool may not share the same glowing enthusiasm as hand-picked premiere attendees. Box office projections are equally grim. Current estimates suggest an opening weekend haul of $48 to $58 million. I think that's domestically a far cry from the blockbuster numbers Disney typically expects from its reimaginings of classic animated films. When compared to previous live-action hits like Beauty and the Beast or The Lion King, Snow White is tracking well below expectations. This tight Snow White review embargo all but confirms what many industry watchers already suspected. Disney isn't betting on Snow White to win over critics or audiences. Instead, they're hoping to minimize negative headlines before opening weekend, preventing poor reviews from tanking ticket sales any earlier than necessary. But audiences aren't blind. Between the last-minute ticket sales push, scaled-back press events, and now this restrictive Snow White review embargo, the signs are clear. Disney is bracing for impact and attempting to control as much damage as possible. The move also continues a growing pattern of major studios losing confidence in their own products, choosing to avoid transparency until the last possible moment, whether it's a reflection of creative missteps, poor test screenings, or troubled production decisions. A late Snow White review embargo speaks volumes. At this point, the writing appears to be on the wall for Snow White, and while Disney might hope to weather the storm long enough to salvage opening weekend numbers, the Snow White review embargo is just one more signal to fans and critics alike that even the studio knows this remake is in serious trouble. So, yeah, I think the big question here is how many young people out there want a new version of Snow White that is not Snow White at all, a version that will eventually grow up to turn into her own version of an evil queen, which is exactly what they're presenting here, or whether audiences prefer the classic Snow White. Oh, I hated Beauty and the Beast live action too, mostly because Emma was no Belle and the Beast song. Good Lord. I hated it because while Emma was no Belle, the guy that played Gaston was not even, he was, to me, both Gaston and LeFou were extremely effeminate, and there was an undertone of LeFou obviously being gay, but also there was an undertone of Gaston secretly being like a closeted LGBT. So that undertone was there in that movie, and it was obvious, and I just hated it. So it's, Gaston's thing is that he's overly masculine, like he's too masculine was always Gaston's thing, not the opposite. But new comments I'm looking. Lily James owns Cinderella, I guess. Yeah, Cinderella was fantastic. I have no issue with the Cinderella. What does Mr. Fulton Miraz have to say today? Morning, Ron. I'm getting ready for me and my Chargers basketball team sectionals, and we are playing against Hendricks County. If we win our first basketball game, play our second game, we win both games. Good luck to Mr. Fulton Miraz. Appreciate you coming in. And we'll be in the sectionals. Yay! Yeah, and here's the thing. The service dog, you hit it on the nose. These live action remakes, the biggest problem that they have is that they're trying to compete with animated versions, and animated classic versions are animated for a reason. Okay. Animated storytelling is very different than live action storytelling. Like, take, for example, live action storytelling and then throw it into animation. I'm just thinking of something I've been watching lately, and that's Reacher. Okay. Reacher is the television show, not the Reacher movies with Tom Cruise, but the television show. I've been watching Reacher, and I really like it. And I'm just trying to imagine Reacher as animation, I don't think would be quite the same. It's a very different way of telling the story. How to train? Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon. It looks good. I will say this: Lilo and Stitch looks fantastic. But I'm not a huge fan of the Lilo and Stitch animated movie. So maybe for me, somebody who's not a huge fan of that, the live action will be better. But when I look at Beauty and the Beast, like you cannot beat the animated classic Beauty and the Beast from the early 90s. It was amazing. That Reacher would work as an anime character. See, I'm not so into anime that I really know what that would be. But what I am into is my audience, you guys. I love to celebrate you guys. Let's throw down just for fun before we get to the Epic Universe stuff. A real quick celebration. Comes in with the new season of Reacher is unwatchably bad. It as if you gave 12-year-olds a description of hard-boiled dialogue and let them make the show. I couldn't get halfway through the first episode. I'm watching it, DL, because of what's his name? Not the main guy. Anthony Michael Hall. Anthony Michael Hall, because I just saw him like live and in person at MegaCon, and it's just kind of fun watching somebody that you just saw live and in person in real life in a television show like 2 days later. So that's pretty much. You're right. The new season's kind of not particularly very good. I'm rewatching. Right now, I just rewatched the first season, which is the best season. I'm rewatching the second, and the second doesn't really compare to the first, unfortunately. Yeah. But what we want to get on the screen right now is this. Universal just gave us our first look inside Epic Universe. There are some photographs in here. And that's why I wanted to touch on this story. And I'm excited about this. I'm not. The lead actor has done some things on social media. I'm going to put this on the screen. The lead actor for Reacher has said a lot of things that I'm not in agreement with at all. But man, he's huge. He's a big guy. So this is by Sabina Graves out of Gizmodo. Published yesterday. These are actual photographs taken inside the Epic Universe property. So yes, you say, are you sure it's our first look? Yes. So what's happening lately is that team members from Universal have been allowed inside. And so team members are doing their thing. They're testing out the rides. They're taking pictures, and certain media outlets have been allowed, I think, to actually publish these photographs. So this is an actual photograph of Mario Land or Nintendo Land, whatever. It says Yoshi's Adventure there inside Epic Universe. All right, so take a look at the nearly completed worlds at Epic Universe that will transport theme park guests into their favorite adventures within the realms of Nintendo, Universal Monsters, Harry Potter, and How to Train Your Dragon. In about 2 months, the park will open, welcoming people from all over the world for Universal Orlando's momentous occasion. Here's a new look at the lands past the portals, from a scary adventure at Dark Universe to the gamer haven that is Super Nintendo World, to a magical place in the Ministry of Magic and a realm where dragons exist on the Isle of Berk. Oh, we just wish to be there already. The Dark Universe. Yes, this in fact is a photograph. This almost looks white. VDT just said, oh, okay, yeah. Which one? Yes. All right. So this is an actual photograph of the land that is Dark Universe. An actual photograph. It looks like concept art. It's so beautiful. It's so pretty. It looks like concept art. This is an actual photograph. That's real. Like, that's actually what it looks like. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. The Castle of Dark Universe looks better than Haunted Mansion. I don't get me wrong. I love the Haunted Mansion. I love the Haunted Mansion too, but man, I know it's absolutely insane. And OCDD says 93 says, I'll be there a few days after it opens. Definitely anxious about it. The crowd should be, of course, we've never been to Universal. Diving in right now, I guess. So it's I don't know how long the wait times are going to be for rides or anything like that, but to me, Epic Universe, from what I can tell, has done such an amazing job with the atmosphere. And as my theme park excitement is, I've gotten to the age where I'm past the rides. I was actually thinking about doing a whole documentary on this and why my Generation X, is so into theme parks, and it has to do with the timing of when theme parks became popular. I've been thinking about doing a documentary on that. She's Beauty, she's Spooky Grace. It's the Frankenstein Manor, home of what the internet rumblings from previews have decreed is the best ride of the whole park. Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein Experiment. There's Super Nintendo World. It's again, when I'm looking at these photographs and I'm having a very difficult time believing that they are photographs because it just looks like art. I don't know. It's crazy. Unlike the bite-sized world of Super Nintendo World and Universal Studios Hollywood, the Epic Universe version of the land is, well, epic, as pictured here. It will include the Yoshi's Adventure Ride. If you've seen the videos from the Japan version, you know it's a very cute, family-friendly attraction. And, of course, this Nintendo World will add on one more big-ticket ride alongside Mario Kart, Bowser's Challenge, the off-the-rails Donkey Kong Mine Kart Madness Coaster. So you've got Yoshi, Mario Kart, and Donkey Kong there. How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk. Now this one is the first one that when I see it, okay, I'm saying, okay, this actually looks like a photograph. This looks actually very Universal to me as far as the way Universal does their lands. This one is low-key my favorite. It's a version of a cinematic environment inspired by DreamWorks hit franchise How to Train Your Dragon, which we haven't seen brought to life like this. It's just such a great concept to have a land where dragons are real and you can interact with them and see them soar on stage, at least in the Untrainable Dragon stage show. Universal also posted a preview of how amazingly awesome Dragon meet and greets will work. Here's Astrid and Stormfly, and don't worry, you'll also be able to meet Toothless and Hiccup. Let's see. I'm switching tabs. Hopefully you'll be able to see this coming through. Okay. All right, so this is the This is the Astrid and Stormfly meetup as a real, as seen on Instagram. And I'm telling you that it's literally these characters jumping out of the movie, coming to life. Astrid looks exactly like Astrid from the movie. Stormfly looks exactly like Stormfly from the movie. And you're going to be able to get up close to and meet this dragon. And it's amazing. It's just so, I just, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me how gorgeous that all is. I think Universal is literally knocking it out of the park with this, or knocking it into the park, depending on how you read into that. And then they've got the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, the Ministry of Magic. Let's take a look at that. And again, this so far to me looks very reminiscent of the job that they did with Diagon Alley at Universal Studios Orlando. Oh, look, a little magic of France. This one looks the plainest of the lot, with a circus tent plopped somewhere that may cause a bottleneck, but that's nothing spell casting can't fix, because this area is not quite finished yet. That's why. But I think that's gonna be amazing. Wow, when it opens. So just looking at the photographs and the lands and everything that they have done and everything that they are doing out of Epic Universe, I think, as DL Findle says right here, just the ambiance is going to be astounding. And for me, that's one of the biggest reasons to go to theme parks, because do you spend a lot of time in the rides? Like, everybody wants to talk about how great a ride or great an attraction is. You literally spend between typical, especially the most exciting rides, 60 seconds to 3 minutes on that ride. That's it. And yes, those experiences are exciting, but that's not where you spend your time. You spend your time waiting in queues and in the atmosphere of the park and eating. When you go to a park, if the atmosphere isn't there, you are not going to want to be there. That's why I don't understand people paying for lightning lanes at Disney, because Disney has never been about the rides and the attractions. Those are at Disney, the rides and the attractions have always simply been the icing on the cake to what the ambiance is. It's Florentine says, I love the aesthetic, architecture, and atmosphere. Thank you for stopping in. Appreciate that. Izzo's Place. If they think it's a plane, they have to include the buildings are detailed and remarkable. Yes. This is true. Yes. No, I agree. I hear you. There's a difference when you have one day versus an annual pass and live locally. Absolutely. I understand that. And of course, I am somewhat of a theme park junkie. When I grew up in St. Louis, we always had an annual pass to Six Flags. And one of my first jobs out of high school was as a caricature artist at Six Flags in 1990. Is when I first went to work for at Six Flags, not for Six Flags, because I was a caricature artist, but I had my Six Flags pass. So Six Flags at age 18 was the first time I worked in a theme park. I worked there in 91. In 92, I went from drawing pictures to being in a show at Six Flags. Then in 1993, I worked at Silver Dollar City in a show there. So yes, I have kind of lived my entire life in theme parks, so they're a big deal to me. I may not even really have an understanding of what it's like to live a normal life and then go to a theme park just for fun, because I have been so ingrained in theme parks. But my love of them comes from that experience of just basically spending my life just ingrained working in theme parks, and actually coming in more from the outside now than I ever have, in reviewing theme parks and all the things that they have available, as well as pop culture and stuff. But yeah, you're definitely right, Deal. It's an excellent point. When you're just coming in, on a vacation and you spend all that money, you're thinking about the attractions. And I agree with you on that. But my point is that even with that, if it was just about that, DL, then the people coming from out of town would be going to Fun Spot here, because Fun Spot has massive amount of attractions, massive amount of rides. That's where people would go. But people want the atmosphere while they're waiting, and that's why it's what Disney, that was Disney's forte, and they've gone downhill in that, and that's unfortunate. But you guys never go downhill, and I appreciate you being here today. We are getting ready to send you over to Culture Bear and to Culture Casino, I should say. And so before I go, I want to do one last little celebration, and that's a celebration of culture, if you will. All right, let's head over to Culture Casino together, shall we? Thank you guys so much for being here today. We're going to head over to Culture Casino. From there, we go to That Park Place, Morning Magic, and right after that, it'll be the WDW Pro Show, and then T3PO. It's a long day on Tuesdays, ending the night with the Spice Lounge with Lorena Creole. My long day, because who knows how many of these shows I might end up being on today. You never know where I might pop up. I could pop up anywhere. But until I do pop up, we will be back here tomorrow at 9:30 for the Daily Dish. And until I see you all later somewhere where I may pop up, well, I guess I'll see you real soon. Where's my outro? This should be the latest outro with every member on it. See you real soon, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Ciao, bye!